Hi, good evening. Welcome to my channel. This is Dan, and welcome to my channel, Engelgeist. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. Thank you for being faithful viewers. For those of you that are new, welcome. Please hit like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel if you'd like. This is broadcasting live via Facebook and YouTube right now, but I do not have a chat window up, so I cannot see any comments that are being made over on Facebook. I do that because I'm going to go through the three signs, the three water element signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, and I want to stay concentrated on the actual reading instead of the comments, so I'm not ignoring you if you do comment on Facebook right now. If you have any questions about a reading after watching it, you can certainly leave me a comment on the YouTube page, at the bottom of the page, and I can answer it for you, or leave it on the Facebook and on the Facebook video, and if I read the comments, I will try and answer it if there's some sort of question that comes up in the reading that you feel as though you need clarification on. These readings are for all of the water element signs. I'm doing it kind of late tonight because Paul just went to bed. Paul is my brother, for those of you that don't know. And so it's been a rather busy day, and he's just decided to go to bed, so I thought now would be a good time to try and get this done. And I wanted to do the water signs because I didn't want to make them wait last. So they get to go before Earth, and hopefully tomorrow I will find time to do the Earth signs. So right now, this is for your January 2020 Tarotscope. This is an overview of sort of what the first reading will be, my Cancers. So for those with the sign that are born in the sign of Cancer, or you have like a sun, moon, or rising in Cancer, you may want to watch this video. Or if you care about a Cancer or in a relationship with a Cancer, you can certainly cross-watch it. But this is for the month of January of 2020, the new year, the new decade. So let's see what's going on with my Cancerians. Oh, another way you can support the channel too, if you'd like, is follow me on Instagram at Engelgeist333. And give me a thumbs up wherever you're watching this video. Give me a subscribe. Those are all ways to support the channel. Or you could book a personal reading too. That's always available to you too. That will be in the video description once the video is fully uploaded to YouTube. Alright, so let's see. The first card here is for the overall sort of what I call the default setting card. It's kind of like where your overview or where your overall self will be at throughout the month of January, right? So you may not be this card the entire time, but you might find yourself kind of going in and out of what this card represents throughout the month of January. It's sort of like a general overview. So my Cancers, wow, okay, you guys aren't fucking around. This is the Chariot, and the Chariot's always like fast-moving energy. This is major arcana, so this is no joke. My Cancers feel like they've definitely got a direction they want to head in the beginning of the year. I don't know what sort of resolutions you guys have come to, or what sort of realizations you guys have come to, but with this Chariot card here, it does feel like you guys are ready to take the ride and get about going. And it feels to me, Chariot always has this sort of urgency to it, or this swiftness with which the card represents. And to me, this feels like it's going really fast. With this deck that I'm using, though, it's called the English Magic Tarot. It's just the deck that I chose to use for the January Tarotscopes. To me, this Chariot card, it almost feels like some of you, or the vibe that I'm getting from this card, is not only do you guys, have you made clear decisions that you want change in your life, I feel like there's still this sort of like vying between these two horses, like which horse do we listen to, or which horse do we allow to lead? So some of you might be torn. It feels like you know that you need change, you know big change is imminent, you know that major change needs to take place, and you're ready to move forward. You might, these two horses, because there's not usually a depiction of two horses, these two horses sort of seem, to me as I'm looking at the card, I get this sense of there might be a little bit of a battle going on between these two horses. So there might be two different paths to get to where you want to go, or there might be two different ideas of what you want to do, both equally important, both equally sort of vital. But the question is which one do you choose first? And there might be a little push-pull throughout the month of January while you make that decision. It's going to have an urgency to it, though. This being the Chariot, it says to me that you are going to get about going at some point during the month of January, but it might take you a little time to figure out either A, how you're going to get there, or B, which thing you do first, if that makes sense, which is more important. If it's the, I'm just using these as examples. If it's the job, then we go after the job first and we fix the career sector of our lives. And then it's the next thing we want fixed is our love life. Then we work on that second. But it feels like that to me. These two horses feel like they're dueling for your attention. They're raring to go. They're ready for change. And that change is going to be significant. So, and it's going to be swift too. There's always a swiftness with the Chariot. This card is like sort of no joke, so to speak. Now, the next card is what I call the foundation card. This card tells me a bit about sort of where things were at in the past that have sort of laid the foundation for everything to be the way that they are today. This is the Justice card. Beautiful card. Another major arcana card. So it feels like you've had some significant experiences of the last, I would say, few months of 2019. Maybe you've come to some real serious clarity, some real serious understanding of where it is you are, where you stand in your life, what you're willing to put up with, how you want to be spoken to, how you want to be treated, treating others fairly. I look at the scales that she's holding here. So to me, this speaks to that idea of sort of, treating yourself correctly, knowing what's right for you, and standing by that. She holds her sword high, and to me, when I look at that, and then we have this rainbow behind her, to me, it's sort of like somewhere in the last few months, I feel like the Cancers have woken up. Some of you have woken up, seen with very clear eyes, through the eyes of this Justice card, what you deserve, what others around you deserve, and kind of have taken this very sort of noble and honorable way about giving that to yourself. And now that we're in January of 2020 with this Chariot energy, it feels like we're ready to move forward now. We're ready to no longer put up with, say, other people's bullshit, or some job that we don't necessarily feel inspired by, or whatever that may be. We've discovered that in this Justice card. We've discovered what we need for fairness and balance and justice, to treat ourselves with justice and hold ourselves high. And now we're about to move towards that, or at least begin that movement in January. Now the next card is what I call, I'm going to just move this up here, is the higher self card, or the soul card. It's above you. It tells me a little bit about what your soul or spirit is looking at during the month of January. This is the Seven of Coins. Ooh, girls. Okay. So it feels like my Cancers want some luxury. I just get this real luxurious feeling from this card right out of the gate. I feel like at a very deep level, you guys want to bless yourself. And part of the reason why I say that is, I don't know if you guys have had a hard time lately. I don't feel like it's been recent, but maybe in the past few years, maybe there's been some struggles for my Cancers, and you've dealt with some stuff that's been hard, and this Justice card has come in, and we've kind of cleaned that area up in our lives. This becoming our foundation, right, allows us to acknowledge the fact that we want, at a deeper level, to sort of bestow upon ourselves all of the luxury that I sort of feel is in this Seven of Coins card. Now, this Coins card is sort of like Pentacles, right? To me, it deals with anything that has material wealth or gain, and so this to me doesn't necessarily mean it's about money per se coming from the spirit, but this is about feeling abundant, feeling luxurious, really treating yourself, really honoring yourself. And with this strong foundation of the Justice card, I like that because she is very balanced, fair, strong. She has her sword here, which represent the element of air. Her thought is clear, precise, that sort of thing. And you guys have done it right, is what I feel like with this Justice card. Like, something has been discovered, something has been found, some realization has happened that has really enabled you to sort of stand on your own 2 feet in the last few months and really prepare yourself for the forward motion of this Chariot card, right? And in the pursuit of that, or in the forward motion of that, I feel like in the background your soul is setting up this really wonderful opportunity to experience. It doesn't necessarily have to be financial abundance. It can be just sort of contentment. It can be, feeling content in your relationships, in your work situation, in whatever it is that you're sort of, whatever area it is that you're desiring sort of peace and I do feel like there is a bit of an opulence to this card just because of the way she's dressed and she's sort of admiring her coins all around her. So I do feel like there is a little bit of an abundance or an opulence to it, but that can be applied to different scenarios. It doesn't necessarily have to surround money per se. It could be about money for some of you, though, right? It could be about a better job. It could be about a raise at work. But I think that that's in the making. It's like now that we have this foundation of treating ourselves from a more just and fair place and really honoring ourselves as the sort of warrior that we are, we're ready to move forward and start to create that abundance that we sort of are figuring out right now that we deserve in January. Now, the next two cards are what I call the outside influence cards. These cards tell me a little bit about sort of what's going on around you. They can be people, events, sometimes things more vague like energies or belief systems that are sort of affecting us either positively or negatively that we should be made aware of. Interesting. So one is the Five of Swords. And one is the Fortune card. Wow. Okay. This is kind of like an all or nothing scenario here, guys. When I look at this, well, actually that's kind of predicted right there. When I look at this Five of Swords, it feels to me like you don't necessarily want to listen to that Five of Swords. That is this like sort of the ne'er-do-well people that are around you that say, oh, you know, you can't do that or you can't do that that way. That's what it feels like to me. It's this man here with these five swords and he's holding his head in his hand and he doesn't necessarily appear to very happy, right? And to me, I feel like this is maybe people that are a little bit too critical. They might do it from a place of love. They might do it from a place of care, but they're not necessarily, they're looking at it through the view of their experience or from the loss of their inability to achieve what they want, right? And so with this chariot energy happening in the center, right, as to like which horse do I pick, which route do I go, and how do I go about getting there, you might have people around you saying, oh no, you can't take that way, you can't do it that way, that's not the way to do it, blah, blah. And I'd be mindful of them because I feel like these people aren't necessarily very happy, and I feel like they don't necessarily know the answers to what it is that you seek. And that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from this card in a very big way. Now, on the opposite side, we have the Fortune card. This is like, she's like the opposite of what I feel like this Five of Swords is. She is all about, I mean, to me, this is like the Wheel of Fortune, which is like whatever we focus on, we will get, will come to us. It doesn't necessarily come instantly, but it does sort of, it takes time, but it will come to us, right? So there's this opportunity for great fortune to come to you. This is what you are setting up here in this Seven of Coins in your spirit space. Plus, with this foundation of the Justice card here, I think that you really do have this opportunity to create some real magic. Like, to me, this is sort of like our environment, people around us wanting to help us, doors being open for us that we didn't think were possible. It's that kind of a thing, but we have to remain open-minded. We have to remain positive. We have to sort of stay in this strong stance of this Justice card and remember that we deserve this, that we treat others fairly as we treat ourselves fairly, right? And we're balanced. We don't let, we're not doormats. We don't let people walk all over us, but we are also not like aggressors or hurting anybody in the process. But if we do that and we keep that in our minds and we move forward with this chariot energy, we can move quite quickly to some very fortunate things. That's what this Fortune card says to me. This is like the Wheel of Fortune, right? It may not come immediately, but the challenge is which voice do we listen to, or which horse do we choose, right? Do we listen to the naysayers, or do we listen to the opportunities that the universe is showing us? And I feel like sometimes these opportunities may not be quite so obvious, so just be on the look out for that during the month of January. They might seem like small opportunities at first that might turn into something bigger down the line. That's sort of like the speed with which the Wheel of Fortune moves. And you might be, with this chariot energy, you guys might be moving or wanting it a little bit too quickly. Or it may not be moving fast enough for you. So don't allow that to sort of get you listening to these voices over here, or these people that are like, you can't do it, it's too far away, the castle's too far away, kind of thing. Okay? This last card is what I call the Potential Outcomes card. This card is sort of What I mean by potential outcomes is this card is sort of where everything is headed, barring that nothing major changes, right? So if this card is a negative card, it gives us the opportunity to use it as a warning to make choices and changes right now so that we can affect the outcome and not have this card come to pass. But if this card is something beneficial, we can take heart in the fact that we're naturally heading in this direction, right? So I have to say this, Cancers, you guys have had, I've done 6 of the signs so far, you guys have had the most major arcana in your January reading thus far, by far. You have the Fortune card, you have the Justice card, and you have the Chariot card. January is going to be a significant month for you guys if you're paying attention. The outcome is the Empress. The Empress is like, to me, it's sort of like beyond this. It's like this chick here, but even more so, right? Like, this goal that we have set up for our spirit, this abundance, this sort of wealth, this feeling of deserving, that sort of a thing that our spirit really wants us to understand and come in contact with and live from. The Empress is all about that. She's about intuition, fertility, creativity, the idea of ownership, feeling like having your own internal validation, not necessarily needing it from anybody else. She's a step beyond what I see this Justice card as. Like, to me, it's like really sort of settling into what we've learned in the last few months and the strides that we've made and the changes that we've gone about pursuing. The Empress card to me speaks to the idea of really owning that and being at peace with that, and also being able to create from that place in a very inspired and loving way, right? So keep that in mind. I feel like there's a repositioning happening for the Cancers that is going to be very fortunate in the month of January if you utilize these energies and pay special attention to staying focused on what's working versus what's not, okay? So that is your forecast for January of 2020. Please check out your yearlies that I have up also. Let me know how they coincide, and I'm going to pull these cards down now and do Scorpios. Thank you for tuning in, my lovely Cancerians, and I will see you guys next month. Okay, so my lovely Scorpios, you sexy motherfuckers. Excuse my language. I love me a good Scorpio though. A Scorpio female, ooh, girl, can we get down? And I don't mean that like sexually, I just mean like some of my good girlfriends have been Scorpio females. Pisces and Scorpio females for sure. Over the years. Right now I'm very close to a Leo, but to me it's funny. I think that Scorpios to me are always the one water sign that wants to convince you that they're a fire sign. You know, they're like the sort of the most sort of out of the 3 water signs, I feel like they're the most sort of in your face kind of opinionated, assertive, which I think is a good thing, right? And they can be vindictive as all get out, but I think that that's sort of a strength. But they're also highly emotional. Even if they don't like want to let on that they're emotional, I feel like Scorpios are very emotional, but they may want to, you know, keep that part of themselves sort of hidden because it feels vulnerable to them. So to me, I always feel like Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio, wants you to believe it's a fire sign, when in all actuality it has all the power of the water signs. So let's see what's going on for my Scorpios. And y'all, you guys rule sex, death, and regeneration, which is no joke. Like, I mean, that's some fucked up shit to have to rule. You guys are like, I'm wondering, what is Scorpio? Is Scorpio death? The death card in the major arcana? I can't remember. I'll have to look that up. It might be the death card, which is no joke either, but y'all don't play. Let's just say that. Alright, let's see what's going on for my Scorps. Alright, so this first card, if you didn't watch Cancer or any of the others, the first card always represents as the U card, or sort of your default setting for the month of January. This is where you're going to be sort of vibrating at most of the month, in and out. You might be popping in and out of this feeling throughout the month, but this is sort of the focus of the month, or where you're going to be resonating at. Interesting. The 7 of Wands. Back off, bitch! That's what I hear when I see this card. Again, it's funny, I was just saying that, sharing that story about how Scorpios, I feel like y'all want to be fire signs, like, or you want to project as if you are fire signs, and the Wands is the fire element, or the element of spirit. And this, it's the Seven of Wands here. She is doing a number. Let me just look at her really quick. I feel like she is like just backing everybody off of her behavior. She's beautiful. She's empowered. She's probably a little bit fighting with her environment for some reason. I don't know why. I'm not sure if you guys are quite happy with what's going on around you in the month of January, but to me, it doesn't feel like anything's outside of your control or your ability to change it with this card. I feel like there's a strength here in this card as I'm looking at it, but I do feel like you feel a little bit attacked or put on edge, maybe judged. These wands coming in here, they feel like they have energy, like they're shooting in at her, and she's swinging this wand to kind of keep them back, like backing them off. But she feels strong enough to me, right? So I want my Scorpios to know that you guys know how to handle a good fight. I'm not saying y'all are going to have a fight this month, but like if there's anything that's getting in your way, anything that's annoying you, anything that you need to back up and draw a boundary around, this card says to me that you will do that and you will do it very clearly. Like there will be no room for error or miscommunication, so to speak, right? To me, this card feels like there's a very clear defining of your space and taking that back in the month of January. So if you find yourself, you've been giving away your space too much, or your time, or whatever it is that's of value to you, I feel like this month you might be taking that back for yourself in whatever way, like whatever form that takes. Now the next card is the Foundation card. This is sort of what's been going on previous to this, leading into this month, so it's sort of what everything's built upon. Interesting. So this is the Eight of Wands. It's funny that you have the Seven of Wands as the center and the Eight of Wands as the past. When I look at this, this feels like, I'm just going to go with this, it feels like things were out of control. Like maybe there was some moments where you've been dealing with a lot of maybe ridicule, judgment, aversion, just stuff that's not been fun. I look at all of these wolves down here and these like animals around this man, and he's throwing his wands up in the air, and to me, as I'm looking at this, it sort of feels like he's trying to protect himself or save what he knows. And so I feel like in the months leading up to now, to January, you maybe haven't felt as emboldened or as strengthened as she is. And this Eight of Wands says that there might have been a period of time where you've had to sort of protect yourself or kind of keep things sort of safe, juggle things up in the air. Things were seeming like they were up in the air. Maybe you didn't feel like you fully had access to your personal power or your spiritual connection of recent. There might have been too many like sort of, I don't know, like weird situations or people or whatever these animals down here represent that were getting in the way of things for you or drawing your attention away from connecting to yourself. But the Seven of Wands feels to me like now you're ready to sort of clear that space and take that back or reclaim that for yourself, and get rid of this stuff that you've maybe been dealing with in the last few months, whatever that may be for you. If it's like a work situation, a shitty boyfriend, whatever it is that's kind of been feeling like this is not working, it's like this might be the month to actually change that. Now, this next card is the card that goes above you, but I'm going to put it here in the front. This is the Spirit or Soul card. This card tells me a bit about sort of where your spirit or soul is at during the month of January and what it wants and what it's working on. So we have the Six of Swords. Swords deals with the element of air and the realm of the intellect or thought. And when I look at this card, to be honest, it makes me feel like you guys have been coming through a fairly murky period. And I only say that because this Six of Swords coupled with this Eight of Wands feels to me like you guys maybe haven't had your mind on correct lately. I don't know if that makes sense, or if any of you Scorpios are willing to comment and let me know if this sounds correct to you. It would help to validate what I'm sort of seeing here, because what I feel like this card is saying to me is that your spirit wants you to sort of clean, like ride through your thoughts. This person is on this boat, sort of moving through this murky kind of swamp area, right? And this being a swords card makes me think of the intellect or the mind. So it feels like there's some things that we, during the month of January, our spirit wants us to get away from intellectually or from our thoughts, to clear ourselves free of them, to find our way out of them. These may have been the things that were sort of hindering us and making us engage with situations that were annoying us, or where we felt like we had to protect what we had or keep it away from those that might take it away from us. This is an opportunity here to sort of let that go now. We have a newfound strength that I see in this Seven of Wands, that I feel like we're getting ready to lay down the law in the month of January and sort of clear our space and have back what it is we need. And in doing so, we're then able to also clear our mind and the thoughts that maybe have been haunting us for the last few months or limiting us in some way. And I don't know what that situation is around for you, because this is for multiple people watching. This is a broad spectrum reading, but if it's around a relationship or a job or whatever, if you've been having limited thoughts about it, this is about the month to be working through those. Your spirit wants you to sort of find your way through that. That's sort of that boat, like kind of moving slowly through the darkness of our mind and our thoughts, and sort of getting ourselves free of that murkiness so that we can kind of live better, if that makes sense. So the next two cards are the outside influences. These are sometimes people or events. They can sometimes be also belief systems or energies that are having an effect on us, and that we should be made aware of. Aha! Look who it is, our friendly card, Death. I asked if you all ruled the Death card. I should look that up. So the Death, let me look that up really quick. Can I look that up? What card is Scorpio associated with? Let me see here. Major Arcana. Sorry guys, I'm interested to know if Scorpio is the Death card. I have a feeling it is, but I want to make sure. Why don't I see? I feel like Death is Scorpio, but I don't know. Anyways, needless to say, the Death card to me is not necessarily a bad thing, and I don't want anybody freaking out about the Death card showing up in your spread for the month of January. This is about letting go. This is about an opportunity to come to completion with some stuff. And I feel like with that Eight of Wands as the foundation, and that Six of Swords up here as your soul card, to me it feels like there is some stuff that we need to let go of. Our environment is going to give us that opportunity. This is why she's sort of spinning around and sort of clearing her space. We're going to be letting go of some stuff in January. Do not be surprised if it might seem something, it might be surprising in nature, or something that might feel shocking in the sense of something that you didn't necessarily think that you would be letting go of or wanting to let go of. Death is usually, to me, it's similar to the Tower in the sense that it's kind of inevitable, and it's this sort of idea of, oh, we thought that was always going to be there, but it's something that has to sort of die off so something new can come in its place. So to me, this could be the opportunity for us to put an end to some things that we sort of need to at this point. I mean, I'm certainly getting that feeling from this foundation card and this spirit card that we want to move ourselves forward at this point in time, and it's time to do so, and we might have to do that with a little bit of I don't know if urgency is the right word, but because of the way that that Seven of Wands looks and the way that the Death card represents, it feels like there is a sort of a permanence, maybe is the right word, an urgency and a permanence that you guys are going to need in the month of January to sort of move yourself forward and get yourself positioned to where you want to be. Interesting. The other outside influence is also Major Arcana. This is Temperance. So, wow. Temperance to me is always about balance, right? And Death is very like black or white to me as far as a card is concerned. You know, like Death is kind of inevitable. It's like boom, it's done. Temperance is this other idea of not necessarily being so firm in our position that we can't be open to other things, right? So I think that we need to be open to what I feel like these two cards are saying, or the way that they're working as outside influences, because they are both major arcana. These are big outside influences. These are big opportunities in our lives. These are big situations in our lives that could be altered or changed. And we get to decide how we change that, right? We get to decide either we choose this, like the finality of the death card, and really put an end to something and move on to something new, or we could go the route of the temperance card, which to me, temperance is a little bit more of an easier vibe with things, but there's something funny about this temperance card. She's got her head ducked in the water, and I feel like this could be some of us maybe not seeing things, not really acknowledging things as they are. So be mindful of that. If you are going to be more temperate or more careful or more balanced in how you deal with your stuff and what you let go of, and not be as clear about it, there might be a little wishy-washiness here. That might lead you to being sort of staying in something a little bit longer than you need to, or not being able to see everything completely clearly. Her head down in the water kind of makes me feel a little bit. Temperance is never a bad card, right? It's always about balance, and it's a really beautiful card. But to me, the art on that card makes me think that, like, I want to say, like, be careful what we hang on to. Um, because if we're trying to be kind, maybe to others, or not be too abrupt in our decision making or too final, because we fear, the finality of this death card, or what may happen if we remove something from our space. What do we replace it with? So we try and take it a little bit more slowly. We could end up sort of staying stuck a little bit, or not seeing things fully clearly, I feel like. So just keep that in mind as you go through the month of January. Let me know how things work out for you guys. This last card is the sort of potential outcomes card. So I use this idea. Nothing is set in stone, right? This card is sort of a general overview of where things are headed with the energy as it naturally stands right now, right? But we have choices and changes, and the ability to have free will to make choices and changes to affect outcomes. So this card, if it's something that's not beneficial, we can use it as a warning, and we can um, uh, make choices and changes to affect this outcome, so this card does not come to pass. But if it is a beneficial card, or something we want to have happen, we can take heart in that fact and just allow it to sort of play out, so to speak. We don't have to do much other than, just keep going the way we've been going. So this card is the Page of Wands. Lots of Wands energy for my Scorpios. It's funny because we had that whole fire discussion in the beginning about the idea of Scorpio trying to be a fire sign, and you have a lot of fire cards in your spread for January. The Page of Wands, to me, it's a nice card. It feels like it's a step ahead of the Seven of Wands here. She's fierce and fighting and clearing her space, and then the Page looks like the continuation of that, where they're moving forward to like new ideas, new perspectives. There's always a learning curve with pages. I feel like there's always like sort of an exuberance or a youthfulness to page energy. So it has like a youthfulness, it has an excitement. We may not know all the answers, the path may not be completely clear, but it's an opportunity to learn by month's end. It's an opportunity, like, to me, it feels like this is a further extension of the Scorpios kind of getting their mojo back, if that makes sense. I don't know what's been going on with you guys of recent, but I feel like your mojo's been off as I look at these cards. And so, to me, this Page of Wands feels like we're heading back towards that place of center, that place of like more dynamic, fiery, connected spiritual energy, where we can kind of learn and teach ourselves as we go what it is we want and go about getting there. There's definitely a swiftness and a directness with this Page card that I feel as this horse shoots forward, that says to me that even though you may not have all of the answers as to how to do what it is you want to accomplish, once you clear these thoughts away, or these limiting beliefs that are back here in this soul card, you will be ready to move forward and start a whole new learning process of connecting to yourself in a much more deeper spiritual, like, dynamic way, right? So I think that this is all really good stuff for you guys. It just feels like there's some sorting out that needs to take place in the month of January, so that you guys can then get on to sort of creating the rest of your year and what it is that's going to look like for you. But to me, it feels like there's still not a clear determination as of yet, as to where you're heading. It's like it feels like you guys are still maybe working through some of the stuff of last year and clearing those things away so that you can clear the path to head into 2020 and really start to make some changes. I hope that made sense. Please leave me a like, share, a comment, or subscribe. If you ever want a personal reading that would be more in depth and directly, relating to you and your situation, that's always available to you. You can check that information out in the description. Once the video is uploaded to YouTube, all my contact information is there. And please give me a like, share, or a subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you guys next month. You can also check out your year Tarotscopes that I put up last month. Alright, thank you very much. Okay, so now for my beautiful, lovely Pisces. I love my Pisces. I myself am a Pisces. So let's shuffle for Pisces for January of 2020. My sweet water babies. All of the Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces are sweet water babies, but I love me some Pisces. And I didn't want to make Pisces wait till last, so that's why I did water signs and before the earth signs. So, but Pisces would have to wait till last this year. So what is going on for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising in the month of January 2020? Okay, so this first card is the U card, or the default setting card. It kind of gives me a general overview of where you guys are going to be vibrating for the month of January. You won't be here permanently, right? It'll just be sort of in and out of this sort of card throughout the month of January. It's sort of like the theme of you guys. Okay, so this is the Page of Swords. Alright, Pisces, what are we doing? What are we holding on to? To me, I feel like I love this. I love this card because it's a Swords card, which deals with the intellect and the realm of the mind, the element of air. But I love that the Page of Swords, she's kind of looking to the past, and I see the first thing that I see that really draws my attention is the ass of this horse. It feels like we are focusing on. We might in January be focusing on the wrong thing from the past before we're able to move forward onto our journey. Does that make sense? Because I see that the path is here, and it's like right in front of us, yet we're facing behind, and all we're seeing is this horse's patootie. I don't think that it's a bad card. I think it's something that we maybe have left behind, or that there's one last loose string that we feel the need to tie up, one last emotional connection we need to cut, one last understanding that we need to understand as to why that went the way that it went. Whatever it is, us being this sort of like, sentimental, emotional beings that we are, we might be a little bit stuck on something throughout the month of January, and we might need to figure it out or cut ourselves loose from it as I'm looking at this sword, so that we can turn our head and start to head forward into the year of 2020. Okay? So I don't think this is a bad card. I think that there's something to be learned here. With pages, I always feel like there's a learning curve. There's always an opportunity for growth, and there's always an opportunity to sort of, they're not as stable as knights in that way. They're still sort of learning, right? So to me, this is about us learning something maybe from something we've dealt with in the past. This could be further back in the past. It doesn't have to just be 2019. It could be further back. But whatever it is we might be focusing on or coming to terms with in January, we're going to need to sort of figure it out, then cut ourselves free from it and start to move forward, because we have everything that we need in this card to begin the journey. The path is right in front of us, but we're still we're not moving forward just yet because we're still kind of looking behind us. Does that make sense? Now, the next card is the Foundation card. This card tells me a little bit about sort of why things are the way that they are, or what led us to getting to this point. So this is the Empress card. So she's shown up a lot. Like, I feel like she's shown up in like 3 out of the 9 readings I've done so far. I haven't done all 12 yet, but she has shown up a lot. The Empress is Major Arcana, and I feel like with this Empress, she feels sort of very much in control of who she is and knows what she knows, right? I feel like this is with the moon up here by her head, this is also a very heavily intuitive card. And the Empress always represents sort of fertility, creativity, that sort of a vibe, right? When I look at her, I feel like it's funny, I'm feeling like she was wronged in some way. I'm feeling like as I look at this Page of Swords, because I'm looking at this Page of Swords and I'm looking at this Empress, and I feel like, how do I want to describe this? I feel like somewhere along the way we've been mistreated, or somewhere along the way we have not been honored in the way that we know that we should. That's this Empress. She knows what she deserves. Maybe it's ourselves that hasn't honored ourselves in that way. Maybe we've stayed in a situation too long that's not been good for us. Maybe we've sort of not, or we've allowed somebody to not honor us, a job, or a coworker, a friend, a lover, whatever it is. I feel like when I'm looking at this Empress card, I get this distinct vibe that intuitively we knew better and we still allowed it to go on. Does that make sense? And part of it is the Foundation is like, she is the Empress. Like, she is royalty. She knows what she deserves. She deserves like nothing but the best, and she not demands it, but it's like just automatic, right? And here, where we're operating from throughout the month of January is like from this place of feeling like not as knowledgeable as the Empress, right? Maybe we've been hurt, or there's been something that's gone on that has sort of thrown us for a loop, that's made us feel like we maybe didn't know exactly what we thought we knew, right? And that's what this Page of Swords energy is we're looking back to the past going like, wait a second, was that what I thought it was? Did I do something wrong? Did they do something wrong? How the hell did that happen? It's that sort of an energy, when really what I feel like this card is about is us figuring that out, finalizing that, and moving forward and having learned the lesson. We may have lost a little bit of the strength of this Empress from having learned that lesson, but we need to learn that lesson and sort of move ourselves forward, because we can get back to this Empress card, we can get back to the energy of her and what she is about. We have that within us. We haven't lost that. We maybe just, it wasn't necessarily acknowledged or validated. And so we're still maybe looking for that, or trying to understand why that wasn't the case. This next card is the Spirit or Soul card. It tells me where your spirit or soul is at and what it's doing, what it wants for you in this whole grand scheme of things. So this is the King of Swords. Beautiful card. Okay. So, we have this Empress here as the Foundation, right? And where I was saying we weren't necessarily acknowledging ourselves, or we maybe found ourselves in situations where we were being invalidated, or we were allowing ourselves to be invalidated. It might be our own fault, that sort of a thing. This King of Swords has that vibe to it too. But this being in the spirit space, or the soul space, says to me that the King of Swords wants us to, like, our spirit wants us to pick up our crown and put it on our head. Our spirit wants us to know that we know what's best for us. That's this Page of Swords energy. She's working towards getting to this King of Swords status. But there is this sadness that I see in this King of Swords card. There is this sort of brokenheartedness, and maybe this sort of, I get this sort of anger or hurt from this Empress that says to me that quite possibly we need to maybe forgive ourselves a little bit for whatever's gone on. We need to let go of whatever has gone on, and we need to pick up our crown and put it on our head and go back to knowing what we know. This being a swords card and it being a king card says we have all of the knowledge within us, especially at a spiritual level. We have the ability to sort of put ourselves back together or put ourselves into this position of power again, back to this sort of empress status. We've been there before. We've forgotten that we can be there again. We've maybe allowed somebody to take that from us or uh, um, remove that from us and make us feel like this page of swords. But we need to get back there and we need to sort of let go of the sadness and pick up our crown. And the King of Swords is all about sort of direct thought, clear thinking, cutting away bullshit, and really owning who he is. And so, for me, when I look at this King of Swords as this in the soul space, as our soul's goal for us in the month of January, this is really about clearing away a lot of other people's stuff, if that's what we've got going on, or a lot of our own stuff around our thoughts about other people and maybe how they've treated us or whatever. Does that make sense? And I know that I'm a Pisces too, so I'm reading these cards, but I can see where this applies to my life. I hope I'm not, but that's what I'm seeing in these cards. So my Pisces, if you're out there and you're watching this, please comment and let me know if this is making sense to you, because I want to make sure that I'm not reading too much of my own life situation into these cards. But I think that there's other Pisces out there that need to pick up their crown and put it back on their head. I'm not the only one. And this page of swords says to me that we're smart enough and we know how, we're just doubting ourselves, right? We're looking to the past and trying to make sense of it, and really we're not going to have those answers. And we've been in control and we've been like grounded and centered and intuitive and owned it, and maybe we didn't acknowledge it, or we let somebody else like invalidate it or take it from us. Does that make sense? The next two cards are the outside influences. These cards tell me a little bit about sort of what's going on around you. These can be sometimes energies, belief systems, or people or events that are having an effect on you, either positively or negatively in the month of January. So the first card is the Seven of Wands. This was actually Scorpio's center card. Their sort of default setting card for the month. And then the second card is, wow, okay, the High Priestess. Wow. A lot of heady feminine energy going on. There's a woman in this Seven of Wands card here, or is that, yeah, the Seven of Wands, and she's deflecting all of these wands here. So I feel like there might be judgment coming at us. This is what I was telling Scorpio too. There is a power in this card. I feel like she is successfully keeping things at bay, but it feels like maybe there might be some outside criticism, outside judgments, outside beliefs, or ideas that might be flying at us that don't necessarily work for us. We might have to sort of bat them back or keep them away from us. Really hold tight to what we know. Don't let the doubt of this Page of Swords come in and allow us to sort of let down our guard, I want to say. This High Priestess card, to me, I love this card. This is the first time I'm seeing it in this deck. The High Priestess is always about secrets, intuition, knowledge, high feminine power, that sort of a thing. But to me, when I look at this, she appears like an angel to me. And I love that she's looking at herself in the reflection of the water. So when I think about this in the sense of it being an outside influence, it feels to me like intuitively our environment is going to mirror to us what we need. Our environment is going to show us. Our angels will show us. They will come to us and they will mirror to us what we need to know, and we have to trust that this month. We have to do that so that we can put on that crown, so that we can get back to that space of feeling good, knowing what we deserve, and not like taking on necessarily the opinions of others or the thoughts of others of what they think we should be or how we should be or any of that sort of stuff. We need to sort of own it and allow the universe or the High Priestess energy to kind of come through us at a very intuitive and sort of spiritual level, and let it reflect to us what it is we need to know. That's going to empower us to kind of keep this shit at bay, whatever's going on in this card over here, whatever's flying at us, right? And I gotta say this, we have these beautiful strong cards of the Empress, the High Priestess, and the King of Swords. Even the Seven of Wands is very strong in its presentation, and the Page of Swords just slightly doubtful, but she's willing to learn if she puts her head forward and looks forward and stops dwelling on the past. I know you Pisces are a bunch of sentimental motherfuckers. I love you for it. I am one myself. We're romantics. We can't help it. But we're gonna have to let it go. We need to get we need to get riding on to our new and our now and our next. And it's big and it's beautiful, and the High Priestess is here to give it to us if we just allow ourselves to be open to it and see it, ask for it, and let it come. Right? So now this last card is the potential outcomes card. What I mean by potential outcomes is that nothing is set in stone. This card represents as sort of where everything's naturally heading, barring that nothing major changes, right? So we can utilize this card as a warning if it's negative, and we can make choices and changes through free will to affect this outcome. But if it's something that's beneficial and we want to have happen, we can just allow it to happen. We don't have to do much, and we can just keep flowing and stay aware of these cards and sort of follow through January and allow this to come about. So this is the Five of Swords. Not my favorite card, guys. I'm going to say this. Don't get too caught in your head. Don't put your goals too far out beyond you. This card to me looks a little bit like there might be some confusion, and that's probably due to this Page of Swords. We need to sort of believe in ourselves this month. We need to sort of stay strong this month, and this Five of Swords just is giving me vibes that's saying be aware that you want to make sure that you're strong in your convictions and what you know to be true for yourself, and not what others necessarily think or what others necessarily need of you. Okay? This Five of Swords says to me, like, the way that he's holding his head in his arm, he's not a very happy dude. And that castle is very far off. It looks like, he's sort of, like when I look at this, I think of that sort of idea of cut off my nose to spite my face kind of thing. Like, it's sort of like we've separated ourselves from the opportunities that are there because we've overthunk it too much, or we've stayed focused too much on the past and not sort of stayed focused on the path in front of us and what we can produce going forward. And what we can produce going forward with this High Priestess and this Seven of Wands is far more interesting, far more compelling than staying stuck in confusion or dismay or trying to figure out, the motives or the reasonings of others. Whatever it is that's got you stuck, don't let it keep you there, okay? That's the warning here. And we have full potential and power to change this card by being aware of it now. That's why we do these predictive tarotscopes, so that you can see this stuff coming ahead of time, so that you can be mindful of it and stay more focused on this High Priestess, or even this Seven of Wands energy of battling things back, getting your ass back to that Empress energy that we've had before in the past, putting that crown on our head like the King of Swords, being direct in our thought, being decisive in our thought, cutting away whatever it doesn't work for us or that we don't need. Don't get bogged down in it and get confused by it with this Five of Swords. Okay, my beautiful Pisces, I hope that makes sense. I hope that it helps. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. You can look at your year tarotscopes too. I did year predictives last month. And please like, share, comment, subscribe. If you want to book a private reading once the video is fully uploaded, all the information will be in the video description on YouTube as to how to go about doing that, or you can visit my Facebook business page. Thank you, all my wonderful water signs. I will see you guys all next month, and have a good evening.